I'm Jenny Brichette, and welcome back to this week of Culinary College. It is now November, which is mind-blowing to me. And as much as I would love to put on my Christmas sweater and make some cookies and sing Mariah Carey at the top of my lungs and have a peppermint mocha, unfortunately people keep telling me that it's way too early. Though it's not the holiday season, it is football season. So today we're going to be making my favorite game day snack, which is a pretzel steak and cheese calzone. And it doesn't even have to be for football, it can be for any game day. Football, baseball, badminton, a mean game of Go Fish, or it could just be Wednesday. So let's get started. We are going to need flour, yeast, coarse salt, butter, sugar, baking soda, salt, pepper, eggs, a bell pepper, garlic, more butter, onions, steak, olive oil, and cheese. Let us get started on the pretzel dough. So I'm gonna need a half a cup of warm water, and it has to be warm for the yeast to be able to interact with everything in there. And a way that you can tell if it's warm enough is if you just hold your finger underneath the water until it's just uncomfortable to hold your hand under the water for 10 seconds. Also, if you have a thermometer, that might be easier. Now I'm gonna dump a whole package of yeast into the warm water. To that, we're gonna add a pinch of sugar. Just stir that up. We're gonna set this aside for 10 minutes until it's just foamy. Now we're gonna get started on our dry mixture. We are going to need 2 cups of all-purpose flour. 2. Now I have 2 tablespoons of softened butter. That's right there. And then I'm gonna need a tablespoon and a half of salt. So I'm just gonna wanna mix this until there's just a bunch of clumps of the softened butter in the flour mixture. Almost to the point where you can't even see the butter anymore. But if you like pick it up and touch it, you can tell there's butter in there. This is just foamy. So now we're about ready to dump it into our dry mixture and mix it up. So once everything's basically incorporated, I'm gonna get some flour on the counter. There we go. And I'm gonna dump this out. You just want to knead this until it's elastic and not sticky anymore. So I actually have a really fun story about how this recipe came to be. So I think it was about 2 years ago. My cousin for Christmas asked me to make him food. So naturally I was like, all right, what can I make you? And I ended up coming up with this idea. And I gave him a certificate on Christmas that said Jenny's Food of the Month Club. And I promised that I would show up to his house every month and bring him food for a whole year. And I asked him, what kind of stuff would you like for this? What kind of stuff would you like me to make? And 3 of the things on the list were soft pretzels, calzones, and steak and cheese. And I'm like, there's a way to mix all of this together. So I decided to make a pretzel steak and cheese calzone, and the recipe was born, and he loved it, and I have been making it ever since. All right, so this looks pretty good. It's not sticky, it's nice and elastic. All right, so now I have a bowl, and I'm just gonna lightly grease the bowl with some olive oil to make sure everything is covered. There's some excess, you can dump it out. Then you can put your dough right in there. Coat it with the olive oil. I'm just gonna cover it with some tinted oil. And I'm gonna wanna leave this in a warm place for about an hour. Okay, now we're gonna get started on our steak and cheese filling for the calzones. So I'm gonna need 1 onion that I'm gonna chop up now. You're gonna wanna just cut these up into fairly large pieces. You don't have to mince or chop them too much. Sports. You can also cut them however way you'd like because it really doesn't matter too much the recipe. If you like them smaller, you cut them smaller. If you like them bigger, you cut them bigger. And now we're going to chop up a bell pepper. And again, you can chop these as small as or as big as you like for them to be. And alright, so we have a whole pepper in there. And now we're going to cut up 1 clove of garlic. I just hit it with the edge of my knife, so it is easier to peel all this weird garlic skin off of it. You're just gonna want to mince this, so make sure everything is super small. So now we can start heating our pan to cook all of these great vegetables. Turn on the heat on my pan. I'm gonna add 2 tablespoons of olive oil and then 2 tablespoons of butter. While we're waiting on this, we are gonna start getting ready with our boiling water for our pretzel calzones, because when you are making soft pretzels, you have to boil them in water that's mixed with baking soda in order to get that like pretzel skin around it, I guess. I'm just gonna start boiling the water now because I know this stove takes a while. Time management, right? Great. And to the water, we're gonna wanna add 1/2 cup of baking soda. I know it might seem like a lot of baking soda at first, but sorry, it's gonna make everything so good at the end. And while we're doing that, the butter looks about ready. Now we're gonna add our 1 clove of mixed garlic. We're gonna let this cook for about 1 minute before we put in the rest of our vegetables. Alright, I just added the vegetables into my pan with the garlic. I'm just gonna wanna cook these until they're just translucent, even a little bit browned. But again, with cooking, it's really up to you. It's up to your preference. If you like them a little bit crunchier, go for it. Now I'm gonna take my steak. It is shaved steak and the cheapest one I could find. So the pieces are a little big, so I'm gonna chop it up just a little bit. I got a different cutting board, a different knife, just so we don't cross-contaminate. Cut it up a little bit. Okay, so now that I have my steak all cut up, I'm gonna start cooking it while my onions and peppers are still cooking. Now we're just gonna add some salt and pepper to taste to our meat. So both of these look about done. So what I'm gonna do next is I'm gonna take my steak mixture and then mix it with my vegetable mixture. And then stir it all up. It smells so good in here. So now I have some cheddar cheese. And I'm gonna just throw it right in with my steak and vegetable mixture. Stir it all together until it's melted. Awesome. My cheese is melted, so I'm gonna take this off the heat. So it has been about an hour, so we're gonna check on our dough. Awesome, and it looks like it's risen a good amount. So we're gonna take it out. Put a little bit of flour on the counter. There we go. Take this out. Alright, so we have our dough, so we're going to divide it into 4. Now that we have our divided up dough. We are now gonna start to fill these, but before we do that, I'm gonna preheat the oven to 450 degrees. I'm gonna take my divided dough, and then I'm gonna roll them out until they're nice and flat. And these do make pretty small calzones, so they can be shared among 2 people or even by yourself. First, we're gonna take our dough that we just rolled out, and we're gonna fill it with the filling that we just made. So to start, we're gonna put a little bit of cheese in the bottom. You can use mozzarella, or provolone or cheddar. I found this mix that's both mozzarella and cheddar, so how cool was that? Put that down first, and then get some of that filling in there. And you want to divide it up pretty evenly amongst the board. Awesome. Fold that over. You can press the edges down with a fork or just fold them over, decorate them. You do you. Awesome. This one looks good. I'm just gonna fill the rest of them. Okay, so this is where things get interesting. In order to make soft pretzels, you have to boil the dough before you bake it in order to get that pretzel skin on it. So what we're gonna have to do with these calzones is boil them in that water with baking soda in it that we got prepared earlier. Take one of these, gently drop one in, and I'm gonna wanna boil these for 2 minutes on both sides. All right, this looks about done. So we're gonna take it out very gently so not to rip any part of the dough. I have this handy dandy spoon to drain everything so there's not too much excess water. These kitchens are a little warm today. I don't know if dining house thinks I'm going after their job. They turned up the heat in here, but it's like 85 degrees in here. Okay, so now I've taken out all of them. Calzone number 2 had some technical difficulties, so put that aside for now. I did roll out the dough a little bit thin, so some of them did break a little bit while they were in there, but they'll still taste great. You know, sometimes we just have some technical difficulties, but that's okay. Life's a climb, but the view is great. All right, so we're gonna crack an egg, and we're gonna egg wash these. So, whisk it up a little bit. And then I'm just gonna brush my egg mixture onto my calzones. And the egg mixture will just help them brown in the oven. They'll look like pretzels. They'll be great. So these are looking good. So our next step is we're gonna put some coarse salt on there. Or pretzel salt, if you have it. I just have coarse salt, so that works too. Getting deja vu from the sparkling sugar from last time. These look great. Got my coarse salt on them, and I'm going to cook them in my now preheated oven. And those are gonna bake at 450 for 15 minutes until golden brown. All right, it has been about 15 minutes, and I'm gonna check out my calzones. These look awesome. I'm so pumped right now. There they are. All right, everybody. Here are our amazing pretzel calzones. They look great, and I can't wait to try them and share them with everybody. Please let us know if you've tried this recipe yourself. Let us know how it went, if you like them. Yeah, I've been Jenny Frechette. This is Culinary College, and make sure to follow LCTV on their socials, and join us next week for more amazing recipes.